Hello, mentors. This is Miss Canales, your Gear Up coach. And this week's lesson is going to be on fighting imposter syndrome and preparing mentally for college. All right. And today's objectives, mentors will be able to define imposter syndrome and understand the different types, reflect on their own personal experiences and how imposter syndrome might come up for them in college. And lastly, find solutions to address thoughts that come with imposter syndrome. And then you will be provided a handout. The handout will look like this: Fighting Imposter Syndrome. It is a really good idea to have this out already before you go through the presentation and fill it out as you follow along. So, again, have this up while I present, and you guys can fill it out throughout this video. All right. So, what is imposter syndrome? How does it apply to me? Imposter syndrome means that despite your achievements, you feel that you don't deserve them and that you are not good enough. Therefore, you do what you can to avoid being found out. So, think of it as a story that you tell yourself that is not really true because of your self doubts. The story becomes a belief which drives your behavior, often comes up when we enter new environments like college, an internship, or a new job. Even someone like Michelle Obama faces imposter syndrome. In fact, up to 70% of all people feel imposter syndrome at one point or another in their life. All right, I'm going to show you guys this video of Michelle Obama. And if you guys have the reflection sheet up after this video, you can go ahead and answer these questions.
An 8-year-old little girl is getting national attention for dressing up like a young version of her hero. For her school's Cultural Heroes Day, Ella Lorraine Brown perfectly matched Michelle Obama's outfit when she was a college freshman at Princeton University. That's great. Inspiring young people is a big theme of the former First Lady's memoir. It's called Becoming. It is the best-selling book of 2018. Mrs. Obama has just revealed her book tour will make 21 more stops in North America and Europe in 2019. In our very popular series, Note to Self, she advises her younger self as she leaves for college.
Dear Mish, there you are in your jean jacket and braids. You worked hard for this. But even now, after you reached your goal, you're still not quite sure if you belong and can't get one question out of your mind. Am I good enough? There aren't many kids here who look like you. Some arrived on campus in limousines. One of your classmates is a bona fide movie star. Another is rumored to be a real-life princess. Meanwhile, you got dropped off by your father in the family sedan. Years from now, you'll learn that your parents had to take out new credit cards to pay your tuition. But Michelle, what you'll come to realize one day is that you're only seeing what you lack and not everything that your story has given you. You grew up surrounded by soul and jazz and a deep anchoring love. Your parents taught you to keep your word and treat people with respect. They encouraged you to develop your own voice and use it. Those lessons are more valuable than anything material. They'll come in handy in the future in settings I won't spoil for you right now. Your father's final lesson will come far too soon. He'll teach you that life is fleeting. So laugh with him until your side hurts. Savor the grip of his hugs, the softness in his eyes. A day will come when those memories are all you'll have. His absence will hit you like a rock. It'll cause you to rethink everything about yourself and your future. But don't worry, you won't have to go through any of this alone. You'll open your heart to someone whose upbringing was nothing and everything like yours, all at the same time. He's driven by a hopeful set of ideals. He's grounded and kind and absolutely brilliant. And he's pretty good looking too. I thought you'd appreciate that. His certainty about his path will feel like a challenge to yours. You'll learn that even the best relationships take work, but that's okay. That's normal. And it's what gives your partnership its strength. Together, you'll be blessed with two perfect little girls who will fill you with so much joy you can barely process it. Yet, you'll still struggle to find a balance between your family, your husband's rising career, and your own sense of self. Be patient. You'll get there. And just when you think you've done it, the four of you will be shot out of a cannon into the unknown.
I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for President of the United States of America.
Everything you fought for so hard, stability, balance, confidence, will feel like it's at risk. You'll be attacked by people who've never met you and don't really care to. They'll try to harm you for their own gain. Don't stoop to their level, no matter how gratifying it might feel in the moment. Hold tight to those values your parents taught you.
You treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them.
Your family will make history, breaking barriers and filling out a more complete picture of the American story.
At this defining moment, change has come to America.
With a lot of hard work and a good education, anything is possible.
You'll meet two popes and the Queen of England.
You took on a role you didn't ask for, and you made it your own, with grace and with grit and with style and good humor.
People will fill stadiums to hear you speak.
She is your hometown girl from the south side of Chicago. Welcome, Michelle Obama!
It will be easy to think you're something special. Just remember that there are millions of people who grew up like you did and don't get this kind of spotlight. Reflect the light back on them. Use your voice to speak out for what's right, to build a better future for the next generation, to encourage those who are too often silenced or shoved aside. There are so many people out there like you, Mish. Black girls and minorities of all kinds, working class kids from big cities and small towns, people who doubt themselves, who are uncertain about whether they belong, but have so much to offer the world. Share your story with them, the struggles and the triumphs and everything else. Show them that there's more beauty inside than they can see right now. That's how you'll answer that question that's following you around, the one that sometimes keeps you up at night. You're more than enough, Mish. You always have been, and you always will be. And I can't wait for you to see that.
Gosh, because we sure see it, Mrs. Obama. It's so interesting and becoming. Just happen to have a copy right here on the set. This book has sold already 3 million copies. And on page 66, she writes when she was in high school, her counselor told her that you're not Princeton material. So for her to do a note to self based on starting with going to Princeton and how her life has evolved, there are so many notes out of that. Shot out of a cannon, reflect the light back onto them. She really does live the life of when they go low, we go high. It's extraordinary.
Well, I think that message too for many people, there's more beauty inside than they can see right now in everybody. That's the becoming, really, which she shows the total love of that book. And be patient, you'll get there. It's a hopeful message.
To take that platform and that line, reflecting light back on them, that's the thing, is with what to do with fame and that platform is to lift everyone up, to bring everyone else up who are now having the same doubts you had.
And the core of the foundation was really her family, right?
Exactly.
And that image of her dad dropping her off. I mean, you see the love right there.
It all starts with that. Listen, we really do have to thank Dana Brewington, Jenna Gibson, who were involved in that piece, and certainly to you, Angela Ross, because the edit was perfection.
And I want the soundtrack to that.
Yeah, very, very, very nicely done. We published a book based on our Note to Self series, Note to Self, Inspiring Words from Inspiring People. It's on sale right now. Thinking if there's a version 2, Michelle Obama's is going to be in that one. It's published by Simon &
All right, you guys, thank you for watching. So at this time, I would suggest to pause the video if you need some time to fill out the reflection section, the 3, 2, 1 reflection. And that is 3 things that stood out to you, 2 connections to your own personal life, and 1 way this connects to your feelings about going to college in the next couple years. So please pause the video and take a moment to do that, and I will continue the presentation. All right. So types of imposter syndrome. Everyone has a different type of imposter syndrome. These may vary throughout our life or our personality changes and develops, and we become better people. Or as different situations arise within our life, understanding the types of imposter syndrome can give us a better understanding of how to deal with the feelings. So the different types of imposter syndromes, I listed them here on the right. You see the perfectionist, the expert, the natural genius, the soloist, and the superhero. And in the following slides, I'm just going to go over the different types of imposter syndrome. Okay. So now the perfectionist. This type of imposter sets extremely high expectations for themselves, higher than they would ever expect of anyone else. The perfectionist will still feel like a failure even if they meet most of their goals. For example, scoring a 90% on an exam won't please a perfectionist. They want 100%. And even if they meet 99% of their goals, they're going to feel like failures. Any small mistake will make them question their own competence. This is a really difficult way of living, and from personal experience, I can say that you need to learn how to be gentle with yourself. If this is the kind of imposter syndrome that you might have, maybe finding ways to learn to be gentle with yourself and remind yourself of how much you have completed and not linger too much on what you haven't completed. Next, we have the expert. The expert feels like they need to know absolutely everything about a specific subject before they start a project and will seek out training to improve their skills in that area. This can hold them back in various ways, such as not applying for jobs, internships, scholarships, unless they're absolutely perfectly qualified, or by not asking a question in class because they feel they should already know the answer. Next, we have the natural genius. So, a natural genius can be defined as an academically or socially intelligent person who rarely has to struggle to learn. Will have um, will have bouts of imposter syndrome when they find something difficult. This is because they are used to learning new skills easily. When a task requires effort, they feel it's because they're actually an imposter and not very intelligent at all. This may happen when you go to college and struggle for the first time. So, for a natural genius, it might feel easy to just give up, but you have to remember that learning a new skill can be difficult in the beginning and gets easier as you learn more and as you get better at it. Next, we have the soloist. Soloists don't ask for help since they feel they have to accomplish all tasks on their own. This means that they rarely delegate tasks, which means they don't like to assign tasks in projects or in groups, and they struggle to allow other members of the team to take some of their workload. This situation of needing to ask for help leads them to feel like they are a failure. So these kind of people don't really like to ask for help, and they don't really like to share a workload. And lastly, we have the superhero. This type of person pushes themselves to work much harder than people around them in effort to prove that they are legitimate and not an imposter. Pushing themselves so hard in all aspects of their life, from their schoolwork, career, to their relationship, has a negative effect on their well being as they rarely give themselves time to just relax. So, these kind of people, the superheroes, they have a habit of stretching themselves way too thin. And as we know, it's important to rest and to not overload ourselves. Now we're going to do a quick little quiz. So, do you have imposter syndrome? Take this quiz. So, in this moment, please go ahead and you can pause the video to answer yes or no in these questions. The first question is, do you ever feel you don't deserve your achievements? Second question, do you ever worry that people will find out you are secretly not worthy? Third question, after a success, have you dismissed it as just a good luck or timing? Fourth question, do you think you have tricked others into thinking you are more successful than you actually are? And then last question, do you think others overvalue your success? If you answer yes to more than two of these, you might be experiencing a level of imposter syndrome. This quiz can only give a very basic insight into your potential imposter syndrome. If you feel like you are struggling, it might be worth seeing a therapist to get a formal assessment and treatment plan. However, I want to remind you guys that 70% of the population oftentimes experiences imposter syndrome at least one point in their life. So talk about it with your friends, with your peers, and um, a lot of times talking about it in itself makes you feel a lot better. Which type are you? So after you kind of take a second and reflect, and maybe even go back and reread the descriptions for each type of imposter syndrome, you can go ahead and use your imposter syndrome handout to reflect on these questions. So the first question is, have you ever felt any of these feelings? If so, which ones? Second question, when do you feel imposter syndrome strikes? Third question, how has imposter syndrome shown up from you while at Alliance? And then the last question, are there other moments in life which you feel like an imposter? So please go ahead and pause the video if you need to, and reflect on these questions and go ahead and answer them on the handout. All right, so now continuing, we are going to look at what college students have to say about imposter syndrome. So in this time, I'm going to show you guys a couple videos on college student. This first student that we have here is actually an Alliance alumni. So I will go ahead and show you guys her video.
Hi, I am Jacqueline, an Alliance alum, and I am a current junior at Cal State LA, and I also participate in the Alliance mentorship program as a mentor and an intern. I just want to take some time to share with you all my experience as a Latina first generation college student and all the challenges that I have faced throughout my transition into college from the very beginning. And some of those challenges were imposter syndrome. From right in the beginning during my freshman year, I noticed a drastic change in the academic setting while I was in classrooms where I had classmates that were from sophomore, junior, and even senior years while I was a freshman, but also being intimidated from professors that had their masters and their doctorates and had decades of experience in the subject that they were teaching. And this drastic change into college life and this different setting may start impacting you with imposter syndrome, with starting to doubt your capability or your skills that you have to offer to the university. Continuing on during my freshman year, I started to get involved, and that meant me joining the speech and debate team. And I still am a part of the speech and debate team. I have gotten a chance to serve as the vice president as well as the secretary on the team. And as a competitor, I got the opportunity to create info and persuasion speeches as well as perform dramatic interpretation pieces. So as a competitor, I would go out and compete in various tournaments where I was competing with college students from across the country. So that would mean I would gain different perspectives and have new experiences. So I would be in rounds where I was presenting various sensitive topics such as race and gender, and you start to feel uncomfortable because you were the only POC or woman in the room. So I would be presenting these topics and start to doubt myself and if I deserve to participate in such events. But I quickly realized, as well as with the support of my team, that I do deserve to belong there, and no matter what other people say or criticize me based on my perspective as a Latina first generation student, that my perspective and experience is valid and is unique to offer, and you have the voice to share your experiences. Then another organization that I was a part of is the Alliance Mentorship Program that has helped me with the incredible support and the community that they have created for college students. So from my freshman year as a mentor, I had a great relationship with my mentor, and she guided me throughout the whole college experience and knowing the college system. So that meant registering for classes, or to get help if I needed to, such as the tutoring center. And then throughout my college journey, as I became a mentor, the program has created a wonderful support group where I get to interact with other college students from various different universities and have a community and a safe space to share our different challenges and experience, such as imposter syndrome. then this program has also given me the opportunity to support other students with their transition into their first year of college. So I know that it's very difficult to face these challenges, but I know with support and self-reflection that it is very possible. I want to end this with encouraging you as a high school senior to reflect on your experience from your freshman year and encourage you once you transition into your first year that you believe that you have earned your college acceptance and that you belong in that classroom that you'll be attending in the fall. As you continue on with your journey to get your degree, to take advantage of all the communities and resources that are available on campus, which means the communities for POCs, for the LGBTQ communities, the first generation and DACA communities, and taking advantage of mental health and disability resources is on campus. So I know that there's a lot of challenges that you'll face coming up, but I don't say that to scare you. But I am confident that with support and you not being afraid to share your experiences and feelings and seeking out support, that you'll be very successful during your first year. So hopefully me sharing my experience has helped you or has provided some insight to college life. But yeah, good luck in the fall.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching. We're going to show you guys.
Hi, I am Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Next, we're going to see another video of two different students sharing
Hey
their
guys, my name is
perspective.
Karina Flores. I am a first year here at UVA and I'm a Posse Scholar. I graduated from Lamar 2019. I'm also an Emerge Scholar.
Hi everyone, my name is Alvin Barnes. I'm a fourth year here at UVA. I am also a Posse Scholar, not an Emerge Scholar, but yeah.
And so today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome and how we've lived it or experienced it and how we've kind of overcome it being in a predominantly white institution, UVA. So
yeah, I think for me, like as a fourth year, like you can definitely see imposter syndrome every day. And even some aspects I see it in myself. I think it is driven by more so the culture of UVA. Because this is like a highly competitive university where a lot of things is considered like accolades. So we think of like the lawn, we think of like comm school, all these things are things that are like high achievements for people. And it's a competition. We think about being a part of honor and all these things like applications and applying to these things. So people feel that like one, you have to attain a lot of things and you have to be successful. But when you even attain some of those things, I think you can also feel that some people, and I would say again, even for myself, don't feel satisfied. And that is because we come from Houston, we come from very different backgrounds than most people here at this university. So seeing that, you definitely feel that you're not being who you are. You're not accepting some of the things that you feel that you have done, and you're continuing to push yourself to be something that you really don't have to be. You can only, be yourself, but our culture limits us in that way in trying to just be yourself because there's, this UVA identity where you have to be overachieving, you have to be super competitive, you have to be a smart A, all A student. And so it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, like one of like the most memorable like experiences that I felt that I was living imposter syndrome was my summer orientation. Simply because it was like a culture shock for me coming, like I graduated from Lamar. So Lamar was a really diverse high school. Every day, like I'd see new people, like it was really diverse. And getting here was a really big culture shock because like I can even say like up to today, I know all of the Latinx students here. And honestly, that's kind of sad, but it is how it is. And I feel like when I came here for orientation, like, I didn't know what I was gonna expect. Like I didn't know what to expect. I was just like, I'm a Posse scholar, I'm going to UVA, 4 years full tuition, like that's it. However, I got here and I was like, oh damn, like this is gonna be really hard. Also like the feeling of like knowing, well, like it's just that feeling that everyone is superior because of like their status, their class, or like anything. That was also really intimidating for me. But I guess like one of the ways that I like combated that was like this peer mentoring program that I'm in, where it's like most of the Latinx students are in this program, and it's just like it was a support system for me, and also like Posse in a way, because we have like monthly, weekly meetings as well where we talk about all these problems and everything we experience. And so that was kind of an outlet for me to discuss how I, as a minority in this school, felt insecure about belonging here. But I also feel like it's like you go to college to find out who you are, right? And I feel like for me, like one big part of it was knowing that I belong here, despite like everyone else's and how they got here. Because let me tell you, it was a struggle getting here. And it's a struggle every day because there are these like really big expectations, like being known, and like wherever you go, if you have like something from UVA, people know what UVA is. People know where UVA is. People like wahoo wah, like everyone knows. So it's like it is really kind of intimidating knowing that you have like this expectation to deliver. But for me, I just kind of take it as motivation and like just use it to push myself to be better every day. And like I feel like that's like one big part of life, like as a student, just learning and educating yourself on everything, because there's no better way to combat something than fully knowing and having knowledge about how to work it out.
Yeah, and I would say on that point too, it's like as a fourth year, I definitely had those like growing pains of like trying to say like, what am I going to do here? How am I going to fit in this traditional mold? And I think also like what Karina talked about was like being a Posse scholar is in itself a lot of, I guess, weight, because you are like, I guess, primed and prepped to be like this ultra mega, superstar that's in all these clubs that is supposed to, do well and exceed. And so like, even with that, like I had to teach myself in some ways, like, how can I just stay in my lane and do what I need to do for myself and block out some of the things that, that are traditional to people. I didn't apply for honor. I didn't apply for the law. Like those things were not important to me. And I had to find out ways in which I can be content in what I wanted to do and focus on what I wanted to do. And that took time because, like I said, imposter is a real thing and many people feel it. I think we're just even as a whole, as a generation, we're just in a driven like state all the time. Like, what is the next accomplishment? What is the next thing? And not reflecting a little bit on, what have you been doing and how it has made an impact on other people. And so, it's an evolving thing that I would say many people deal with, but it is in how you manage it and how you feel content about what you have done, and not feeling that you have to do every single thing and overstretch yourself in every single moment. So I think like it definitely took time for me to understand that, once I got a couple things on my belt, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Like I don't really need to do these other things. But, I still feel like sometimes, well, could I have done better here? Could I have done better here? But, that's only reflecting. But I also think it's important to be introspective and try to understand that you actually have done a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like something like really important of what you said, to just stay true to yourself. Don't feel like because everyone else is doing something different, because they are different themselves, like culturally, traditionally, just stay true to yourself. And that's like one of the best feelings you can have, like by overcoming all of these adversities and like just overcoming everything in general, because there's a lot of hardships that I've experienced. And this is barely the beginning of my second semester being here far away from home, struggling, like getting used to this new environment, getting used to this new culture. But I feel like one of the best things that I've done for myself is being honest with myself and having this reality check of, at the end of the day, who am I going to be, right? At the end of the day, being happy as to like who I am and what I'm living up to.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, I sit in some of my classes and I'd be like, people talking about, oh, what do you do here? What do you do here? And I'm like, that is, stop being so shallow. Like, there's more to people than, what they have accomplished during their time. It is a part of who they are, but it's not all of who they are. And like, that is at the end of the day, a person that has true, caring things that they want to do that is outside of, just what their internship, what their job is. And so I sit in some of my classes and I'd be like, you have so much to learn because life is so bigger. I think I talked to some of my friends that graduated last year, and they say, you have a job, but that's only 8 hours of your day. Like, what are you going to fill the rest of your time with? Because at the end of the day, once you do this job, maybe you'll not be so happy. So
yeah. So I hope this message doesn't scare you because college is soon for you seniors.
Yeah.
And so like I hope you just take this like as an advice, and what you get out of it is like that you just need to be you, enjoy college, enjoy the steps, because definitely like you get to learn a lot about yourself and about the people around you.
Oh, you're learning a lot about yourself.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, but it's a really nice feeling.
Yep.
At the end of the day. So imposter syndrome, it is real. Everyone feels it. It's challenging, but there's ways that you can work through it as long as you create a support system, have somebody you can rely on, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. All right. Please take a second to go ahead and pause this video and reflect. And like I mentioned, you can go ahead and follow along on the handout. So you can take a moment right now to fill out this section of the handout. And the questions are to write 3 things that stood out to you, 2 connections to your own life as a student, and 1 potential strategy you can use when you feel imposter syndrome strike while in college. Once you take a second to reflect, we will then continue on and talk about how to overcome imposter syndrome and the different ways we can overcome imposter syndrome. So, one of the first ways we can help overcome imposter syndrome is by breaking the silence, talking about your feelings, knowing there's a name for these feelings and that you are not alone can be tremendously freeing. Also, separating feelings from fact. There's a time you'll feel inadequate. It happens to everyone from time to time. Realizing that just because you may feel that way doesn't mean you are. So, just because you might not be feeling smart enough doesn't mean that you actually are. You're actually really smart. And third, recognizing when you should feel fraudulent. If you're one of the first or the few or a minority in your class, it's only natural you'd sometimes feel like you don't totally fit in. Instead of taking your self doubts as a sign of weakness, recognize that it might be a normal response to being an outsider. Lastly, reward yourself. Break the cycle of continually seeking approval from others and learning to pat yourself on the back for the work you do. And these are just a few ways that we can overcome imposter syndrome. I know that there's many, many other ways, and finding the what way works for you is really going to help you be successful in college. So here are some more ways we can overcome imposter syndrome. So accentuate the positive. Perfectionism can indicate a healthy drive to excel. The trick is to not obsess over everything being perfect. Also, develop a new response to failure and making mistakes. Instead of beating yourself up for being human and blowing the big project, do what professional athletes do and glean the learning value from the mistake and move on. Lastly, write the rules. If you've been operating under misguided rules like I should always know the answer or never ask for help, start asserting your rights. Recognize that you have just as much right as the next person to be wrong and have a bad day or ask for assistance. It's also good to develop a script. Your script is that automatic mental tape that starts playing in situations that trigger your imposter feelings. When you start a class or project, instead of thinking, for example, wait till they find out I have no idea what I'm doing. Try thinking, everyone who starts something new feels off base in the beginning. I may not know all the answers, but I'm smart enough to find them all. Visualize success. Do what professional athletes do. Spend time beforehand picturing yourself making a successful presentation or calmly posing your question in class. Visualize this. Fake it till you make it. Fake confidence. Practice acting confident. Be conscious of your body, the placement of your hands, your posture. And even if you aren't sure of yourself, you have to pretend like you are, especially when you know deep down that you have the intellectual goods. After all, if you don't believe in our accomplishments and our abilities, it's not likely that others will. So we ourselves have to believe it first. Note to self. Now, in this section of the video, you can go ahead and pause the video as well and take this time to go back to the handout and write a note to yourself similar to what kind of what Michelle Obama did. So now that you know what imposter syndrome is, the different types, and potential solutions to overcome it, write a one-page letter to yourself that you can read when you are having a tough time in college. You can choose to also email it to your future self using the Future Meme app. We'll click it to show you guys after. However, in this letter, please include your strengths so that you can remind yourself of them while in college, solutions that you can try in order to overcome imposter syndrome, some words of encouragement for when you are stressed in college, and a reminder as to why you are in college and what it means to you. So, your why is really, really important. Hold on to that why to help you get to your journey. And here are more resources. So, how to become a successful college student guide, mind tools, and how students of color confront imposter syndromes. If you would like these links, I will attach them onto the assignment so you guys can go ahead and see those. And if you guys have any further questions, you guys know to please email me or contact your advisory teacher. So once you have gone through this presentation, please complete the 4 sections in the Fighting Imposter Syndrome handout that was provided to you guys, and go ahead and submit that into Google Classrooms. And thank you so much, you guys. Please remember you could go back to any section and pause the video and come back to it whenever you guys need to.